So, if Darkest Mind is going to be my worst movie of 2018, this is a strong contender for the top three, possibly number two position. Because, oh my, and it's not the politics. I have stated before that I am okay with politics being in movies if it's A, cohesive to the plot, woven in perfectly, and actually adds to the overall experience of it versus trying to take away from it, or B, it's the entire point of the movie. Therefore, if you're going in to watch a political piece, you know exactly what you're going to get, and you're not going to be sidetracked. Not like how Last Jedi did it, where they basically just slammed in an anti-war propaganda style, all war is evil, there's no good fighting, all sides are bad. Yeah, everyone tries to say it's a good movie, but when you bring up Canto Bight, they immediately go, yeah. And trust me, when trying to talk about this movie, considering Dinesh D'Souza's, quote, on my side, just because I happen to be registered conservative, though at this point independence seems to be looking better and better by the day, I had to go this with the audience. Because if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, there's two possibilities you're going to see. If you look at the critics, who seem to lean heavily to the left, they hate this movie with a fiery passion of 1,000 suns, give it about on average a 1.5 out of 10, and basically assault the movie for trying to compare Trump to Abraham Lincoln as their overarching, this movie is garbage. And you get the other side, where it's basically 4.5 out of 5, saying that this movie's amazing, and it's nothing but them leftist propaganda telling us that this is just a cover-up conspiracy. I'm actually quoting a legit quote from Rotten Tomatoes here. Listen, guys, neutral on this whole thing. If they're complaining about it, trying to relate Abraham Lincoln to Donald Trump, yeah, here's a fun fact. That's not the movie at all. He makes two out of a basically 2-hour-long movie, two comparisons, and that's it. The bulk of this movie is broken up like this. The first bit of the movie is we get to watch Hitler die. Yeah, we see him poison his wife, he shoots himself, and then they burn him in an alley outside of, I would say Germany, but for all I know, that could have been Detroit. Zing. And then it goes basically for about a 20 to 25 minute shortened expose, basically showing the evolution of Trump from his actual candidacy to him becoming president. Making some actual quotes and stuff along the way where it was kind of shown that, Democrats did favor Hillary from the beginning, and to the point where I don't think Bernie Sanders had a real good chance, and most people can almost agree with it at this point, and that the media was heavily biased against Trump, mostly just because, well, it's Trump. I'm not going to say it's something political. I'm just saying you probably don't like the guy, and if you don't like the guy, you're not exactly going to be fair. I think it's wrong, but it's their business. So, and it also ended with, him getting elected and showing all the results. And, okay, the only time you ever see me defend the Young Turks is right now. And this is the problem with Dinesh D'Souza's movie, he is horrible at taking clips out of context. Now, the clips actually would have merit on their own if he actually kept them in their entirety and tied them to exactly what they said. Basically, in the Young Turks, once again, I hate defending these guys because, honestly, for everyone who says Fox News is nothing but, right-wing propaganda, which is literally the scum of the earth, I tell you, go look at the Young Turks and tell me if you think those guys are legit. But two wrongs don't make a right. So, here's the thing. He takes their clips out of context. Cenk, the main guy, basically says that, we're going to war with the Democratic Party. We're going to tear down the establishment, blah, 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 blah. He goes on a rant. But Dinesh spins it to basically him trying to make him say he's declaring war on the Republicans. Which, right there, fallacy, right there, false advertisement, right there, you lose a lot of my self-respect. He takes a lot of the clips out of context. And here's the thing. It finishes with him basically, and we'll get to the big problem with the movie in a second, he shows an Antifa clip, but it's not from actually what he's saying. Like, yeah, they were part of the riots in Chicago, but he's showing clips of them at Berkeley. He's showing clips of them at freaking Purdue. It's like, dude, do your research. This stuff exists. Why are you actively showing the wrong information? You're making your case seem weaker. Oh, but trying to compare Trump to Abraham Lincoln is not the main purpose of this movie like you might believe. No, because all the first half hour is just a build-up to compare Antifa to the black shirts from Mussolini, which, yeah, there's some comparison there, except the problem is Antifa is not sponsored by the government. Sorry there, bucko. They're just a bunch of crazy nutjobs who want an excuse to beat the crud out of people and, throw bottles through cars, buildings, and just beat the crud out of anybody they don't like. Yeah, they're just horrible people. There's a reason they're a terrorist organization. Domestic, of course. So you could, talk about them and all that stuff. No, you compare them to black shirts and then compare them to Mussolini, and then basically you compare that to modern day liberalism. What? Yeah, the entire point of this movie is comparing progressives. After this long-winded intro, he compares progressives to Nazis. The whole thing that everybody on the right seemed to be angry about when they were being called Nazis. Apparently, two wrongs make a right in this scenario, because here comes Dinesh D'Souza. I am going to call you Nazis, because they were socialists, and you guys like socialism, right? Therefore, it has to equal. No, it doesn't. Not even close. Listen here, man. I'm not saying I'm perfect when it comes to debates. I'm not saying I am the best when it comes to political ideology and all that stuff. But I at least study both sides. I know what both sides basically represent in a fair and neutral sense, so I can at least hold my own in a decent debate against somebody. You, on the other hand, seem to have this wonderful ideology called blinders, where you think your side is right and the entire side is wrong. Ergo, now you have called the entire left, progressives as you like to call them, but you slip up a couple times calling them liberals, to Nazis. Saying they want to eradicate everybody, that America is now the camps, and then you just sprinkle in a little bit of Hillary's America because he reuses scenes from his old movie. Lazy as lazy can be. They're shot for shot, word for word. And I know they're from the same books, and that's kind of the whole point, is like it's a movie version of the books he wrote. But my, oh my. One, editing is horrible. Two, you're just recycling. How could you not fix the same mistakes? Or more importantly, and I want to stress this enough, the premise of your actual movie was to compare Donald Trump, the president, to Abraham Lincoln, the president. What does any of that have to do with progressives, liberalism, socialism, or Nazis? Look, if I was an English teacher and this was your paper, I would say, okay, you have a decent intro. Okay, you're talking about Trump. Okay, so now you're going to segue into Lincoln and do some comparison. Maybe some compare and contrast. Maybe in the policies, the type of adversity he had to get into office. Maybe some of the fallout, because when Lincoln was elected, there was a lot of hatred down in the South. Now, granted, they weren't bombing banks and flipping cars over because they didn't exist. But now this weird image of old Confederate soldiers flipping a carriage with the horse still connected to it and then lighting it on fire. Not the horse. The horse would be okay. I'm just saying the carriage, so. With ye old Fox correspondent out there with quill and lamp trying to get an interview. That could actually be a funnier movie than this, because man, oh man, once he starts going on that tirade about them being Nazis, it never stops. He repeats the same thing over and over. It's the same fallacy. Cause and effect is very important. And you can't just say A is B, therefore B is C, therefore A is C. No, you can't, because B is in C, and then trying to co-correlate it is not exactly what you need to do. My God, man. And here's the worst part. It'd be one thing if this thing was actually decently shot or paced. It's all over the place. He'll stay on one tangent for longer than he actually needs to and just recycle what he has said. And then, within the next minute, contradict himself. First off, he's saying that Hitler wants to get rid of all the gays, but then he says, he'll keep the gays in his military because he likes it. He just wants it to keep it quiet, like the liberals want to keep it quiet about the gays. No, that's not what they want at all. That's not. Do some freaking research. And the whole thing is this is a hit piece against him because he's still mad over the fact that he broke the law. Granted, it wasn't that bad of a law. He went to jail for 31 days. So, yeah, and it wasn't even real jail. It was kind of white-collar jail because he technically broke the, what's the word? It was like government funding during elections. There's only so much you can spend, and he went over the limit, which he should know if he's in politics like he claims to be, but clearly he failed. So, kudos to that. Dude, it's just... This was bad. I mean, here's the thing, though. Unlike Darkest Mind, where it has a bad message at the end, this doesn't really have that bad of a message. No one who actually has an ounce of brain cells is going to walk into that movie theater and then leave going, man, them liberals is Nazis. We need to go punch them. That's what they're saying, right? We get to punch Nazis. No one is going to think that. No one with actually functioning brain cells will think that. And if you do think that, congrats. You are now as bad as the people you are talking about. Because guess what? When the Nazis didn't like anybody, they beat them with billy clubs, shot them, or threw them into the deepest, darkest cell where they couldn't escape. Congrats, guys. In your attempts to, quote, fight the Nazis, you are now the Nazis. Hooray. God. Like, I can see why this is getting panned, but once again, this is not 0% on Rotten Tomatoes bad. I mean, score-wise, yeah, I probably should be warranted of a 0, but I think the average score should be a bit higher. Like I said, the entire bit isn't bad. He does actually make, like, 3 good points, so. But, yeah, this is just bad, man. This is bad. Don't see this. Don't take anybody to see this. This is not worth seeing at all. Don't give this guy more money. He's basically about as bad as Michael Moore. I would almost say worse at this point because Michael Moore is just... He contradicts facts to try to promote his own ideas, but at the very least, they're legit facts. He doesn't take stuff too much out of context for what I've seen. So, yeah, there's that. He might read it the wrong way or misinterpret it, but at least he states the facts the way they are. Spin doctor though he might be. So, yeah. This is bad, guys. Who knows? This week is, ironically, Black Klansman, wonderfully timed, I would like to add, and 22 Miles. So I'll hopefully try to see one of those. Maybe I'll see Christopher Robin or The Spy Who Dumped Me some other time. There's a lot of movies coming out this time, guys, so time's limited, especially with stuff getting worked up again. Anyway, guys, don't see the movie. As always, I'm Kevin Riley signing off, and I'll see you all next time. Later.